What's up, good people? This your guy checking in, Georgia Line of Connection. Got another video. This is American Indian Communities along the Savannah River, CSRA. Now, I really enjoy doing this because I figure out a whole lot of stuff. I learn a whole lot just by just going through the internet. It is so much information. It's like probably a million years worth of information. And you still won't learn as much stuff, but yeah. I mean, it's a whole lot of European in there, but American Indian communities been here, but they just changed the name of it. They started off changing it to Negro, colored, Black, African American, so on and so on. But what I find is when you look up who was already in these places, and the people didn't really leave, they say they amalgamated, but really the people who was coming here amalgamated with them because we do the majority of the stuff we always been doing. It's been passed on. We barbecue, we shoot dice, play cards, you know. Yeah, we invented the automobile, all of that stuff. I got another video coming up too, with a whole bunch of inventions of so-called black people from the late 1800s. I mean, they make it seem like people were just getting patents for stuff, like you had to do it after the Civil War. But my thing is, how long did these people have these patents or already had these inventions before they had the patent? Because they always going to say they're going to throw the slavery in first. But it was free people around. So which one is it? And then they say all the Indians is, disease and everything else. But I beg to differ because a whole lot of cures came from over here. All them, vaccinations and stuff. So fair use on that. I don't know. YouTube be tripping about everything. Certain little trigger words, they get to tripping on you. So I'm gonna go and get into it. I'm gonna start off with, let's see. Well, I gotta start off with my book. It's my hometown, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into one of these right here, that Memorial History of Augusta, from its settlement in 1735 to the close of the 18th century by Charles C. Jones, which his house is on the hill. Now, I don't know what this guy really looked like besides the little picture they put on the internet of him. I don't even want to pull him up because he looked weird looking. He don't look like a person that you think would write something like that. Either way, I'm going to jump in one of these parts of the chapter, which is going to be page 16, matter of fact. This is what trips me out with this. All right. And we're just going to go through different stuff on it, when they planted the colony, Oglethorpe met an Indian and he took him back to England with him and got to know him. And they tell you the population wasn't that big, but it was occupied by a whole bunch of tribes. Muskegee, or the Creeks that they call them. They was all along the Savannah River, all the way to Alabama, some in South Carolina, all up in North Georgia. They even had stretched as far as Mississippi. That's where you get the Chickasaws from. But the page I want to see is 19. This is something very interesting. Now, the cabins of the common people were circular or parallelogrammic in plan. Their walls were made of upright poles, and their roofs were covered with swamp cane, palmetto leaves, moss, or earth. Each village had its own council house where public deliberations were held, sometimes at a telemico, which really just means like a town. There was a mausoleum wherein were preserved the skeletons of distinguished kings and priests, and occasionally too was erected an armory for the conservation of weapons and treasures. If located at a removed from river, lake, or natural spring, an artificial pond was excavated to furnish the town with the requisite supply of fresh water. And they break down a whole lot of stuff. So basically it's telling you, these people had towns and stuff, All right, we'll go to number 23. They wore pearls and shell ornaments were worn by the members of the Georgia tribes, both male and female. And us so-called black folks wear a lot of jewelry, gold by choice, it does, go good with the skin. Silver, yeah, it's decent too. And we rock that gold. We rock it all over. All right. So we're on 22, 23. Now they talk about the pottery of this region. Some guy from the Night of Elvis, which the Night of Elvis is from over there in Portugal. And they say the pottery is not much different from Eskimos or Montemor over there in Spain. So we go to, let me see, click on here real quick. Show you something about over there in Portugal. Because I like what they did with that one. And they throw little keys off in there now. And it'll have you wondering, like, what they mean by this. But this is what they mean. All right. So we got Petersburg. Eskimos. It's an ancient city, an ancient gated city, and is overlooked by a 13th century castle in which, blah, 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 Isabel of Portugal, all that 1300 stuff. Now, it is renowned for its distinctive pottery. Yes. How old is Portugal? Very old. And it's along the Iberian Peninsula. All right, cool. Nah. That's just Eskimos. In the first millennium BCE, the Celtic Lusitani entered the Iberian Peninsula and settled the land, and many traces of their influence remain, according to national legend. Though Lisbon, the nation capital, was founded not by Celts, but by the ancient Greek warrior Odysseus, who said to have arrived at a rocky headland near what is the present-day city after leaving his homeland to wander the world, and who, liking what he saw, stayed there. Yeah. So this like sort of like a fairy tale, all that legend, local legend stuff. So the Lusitanians battled the Romans for generations before ceding the empire, right? All right. Now, later on, the Romans lived under Lusitania rule and all that. All right. So we go over here to this map of Georgia. And what do we have? Lisbon, right down the river. Then you got another spot called Huguenot, which got to do with the French that was making their way over here to America. Yeah. And this is where they found majority of that pottery at, that they say look like it comes from Portugal. Okay. Yeah. Town of Petersburg, which is underwater now. It's actually where Clark Hill is now. It's not even there anymore. Yeah. Let's see what it say about this. It's in Wilkes County. It was named after Petersburg, Virginia, and founded by Dionysius Oliver in 1786 to serve the rapidly growing Broad River Valley region of Georgia. Okay. Now, they enjoyed connection via pole boat, which does it pop up? A pole boat. Just a little small boat. You stick the pole in and it guides you through the river. All right, following the Savannah River. It gained importance as a tobacco inspection station, visit to local planters and obtaining good prices for their cask product. All right, Petersburg. In point of situation and commercial consequences, second only to Augusta, it is situated on a point of land formed by Broad River where it enters into Savannah River. Is a handsome, well-built town and presents to the view of the astonished traveler a town which has risen out of the woods in a few years as if by enchantment. It has 2 warehouses for the inspection of tobacco. It's 50 miles northwest from Augusta. On another point of land on the opposite side of Broad River is the town of Lincoln. It's called Lincoln now, Lincoln County, but it was really Lisbon, which has an inspection for tobacco. Some stores and companies. On the opposite shore in South Carolina is the town of Vienna, which has a number of houses, stores, a tobacco inspection. Wow. All right. Well, it used to be a busy town and all that active and stuff. All right. There's a couple of notable people from the town. They ain't gonna show them. They gonna show him. He's real red looking. Yeah. That's the little boats they was using. All right, what we're going to next? Oh, that's Petersburg. That's on the Georgia side. Then we got old Savannah Town, which was a good 100 years before Petersburg. So Savannah Town it's a defunct settlement located on the Savannah River below the fall line in Aiken County. All right. Who used to live there? The Savannah Indians, aka the Shawnee, which were living up in Ohio region. All right. Nearby Silver Bluff was the site in 1773-75 of the first separate black congregation organized in the current United States. Most were slaves. Yeah, we're going to see. All right. During the American Revolutionary War, when the British occupied Savannah, Georgia, most of the congregation members migrated to the city to gain freedom as promised by the British. Some were evacuated with the British in the last days of the war. All right. And this is simple Google stuff because I got some other stuff. I'm just showing you what this is, what Google say. Now, this settlement was first recorded by English colonists as a Westo village. They later recognized that the Savannah Shawnee displaced the Westo because it was a Westo village first. And the Westo was coming from up north, snatching people up. All right. In a 1679-1680 trade war. All right. The growing English colony considered Savannah Town important for its profitable Indian trade and for frontier defense. All right. Now, you caught my other video. I talk about how the Chickasaw came from Mississippi to settle the area when they was kicking out the Westos. And they built Fort Moore in 1715. All right. That was Savannah Town. Then they moved to Horse Creek. Oh, let me read this one. In 1730, South Carolina organized 11 frontier townships to buffer the more developed low country settlements. Savannah Town was incorporated into the parish and township of New Windsor. 1737, 200 settlers from Appenzell, Switzerland, colonized New Windsor. Descendants of the Tobler, Zubli, Nagal, Sturzenegger, and Meyer families are part of local history. Well, we know what that nagger mean. Yeah. All right. So they was competing with Augusta. Mm-hmm. That's when they just started Georgia in 1735. The new colony of Georgia took good advantage of the settlement's superior position, closer to the bulk of the interior Indian settlements to attract traders to Augusta. Georgia colonists worked to deflect commercial traffic to their own Atlantic coastal seaport at Savannah. Now, 1735, there wasn't no large population of so-called Europeans or Africans living in Georgia. So you're only coming into Indian territory. Now, in my other video, I already showed, just like a whole lot of other people be showing, hey, these buildings were already here. Yes, they were. Majority of them were. All they did was just put pavement down. There were bricks in the road. And they put sidewalks so that way you don't see the bottom of the building. Yes, amazing. Now, Savannah Town, variously called Savannah Town. Look, the closest modern town is Beach Island. Now, all this on the South Carolina side. Let me jump to Horse Creek, where they inhabited. Horse Creek. Horse Creek is, prior to 1872, was in the Edgefield district. Now, Edgefield is very, very important because that's where a whole lot of things transpired. But these were all the places. The area is alternately referred to as Midland Valley, rising near Vaucluse, South Carolina. Those houses are old. Yes, I rode through that. It's very like laid back. It's a little like 2-lane road. You ride through. 30 seconds, you done made it through the town. All right. Now, other communities along Horse Creek include Graniteville, where they had the train spill at. A whole lot of people had to leave and move. The property value dropped. Next thing you know, the pandemic happened and they started building it back up. So a lot of people lost out on their property. And they probably sold it for pennies on the dollar. And now they putting 2-story houses, neighborhoods everywhere out there. Then you got Warrenville, which is right around the corner from there. Gloverville, Langley, Burnett Town, Bath, and Clearwater. All right. All of these places have become Aiken County now. All right. 17th, 18th century, Henry Woodward recorded Westo Indians in the area during his pioneering travels from Charleston in 1674. Oh, Henry Woodward was a Barbados-born merchant and colonist who was one of the first white settlers in the Carolinas. That white word gets you in trouble because it don't work no more. You know, white don't really mean what you think it means. If it did, yeah, it'll be a whole nother subject right now. But he say white, whatever. Believe that. The Westos were already well connected with slaveholders in Virginia and terrorized neighboring tribes by their slave raids. The South Carolinians eventually foresaw more profit in trade in these slave raids and engineered an overthrow of the Westos in a 1690 trade war, after which the area was briefly occupied by the Shawnee, which came out of the northeast, the Ohio area. In 1723, South Carolina Assembly invited the Chickasaw to occupy the area located in northern Mississippi. So these guys then came. I done drove to Mississippi. That's at least 800 miles. But they ain't have to drive. You got the river, so they got the reasonable time. Chickasaw relied on South Carolina as a source of guns and agreed to send a colony under the so-called Squirrel King. In 1737, they were allocated a 21,774-acre tract along the northern western bank of Horse Creek, extending from the Savannah River up to Vaucluse. These Chickasaws actively collaborated with the English in the defense of this area, especially during the Cherokee War in 1760. Chickasaw returned to their homeland shortly after the American Revolutionary War. Wow. Now, 1821, it becomes Hamburg, which is still Edgefield County. Oh, it goes deep. The first Horse Creek textile mill, 1830. It goes all the way into the railroad. It only became Aiken County after the Civil War, which is pretty strange. We got Hamburg. And that's the way the city was set up. Now, it's interesting. After the American Civil War, Hamburg was repopulated mostly by freedmen and was within newly organized Aiken County. The town became notorious in 1876 as the site of a massacre of blacks by whites in what was one of a number of violent incidents by Democratic paramilitary groups to suppress black voting in that year's election. The Democrats regained control of the state government and federal troops were withdrawn the next year from South Carolina and other states, ending the Reconstruction era. That Reconstruction is something. Look at this. I ain't even see this part right here. This is when Henry Schultz came to the area in 1821, right? So Schultz felt slighted by the city of Augusta and purchased a swath of land opposite the Savannah River, which had previously been owned by Chickasaw Indians in order to compete with the city. What? The following year, Schultz sought and procured loans from the South Carolina General Assembly to improve land. All right. Now, we go a little further. Aiken County. In the colonial era, the area that is now Aiken County was part of Edgefield and Orangeburg districts. Orangeburg, that's where my grandma from. Orangeburg district, the county. The majority of the population were immigrant farmers, most of whom were from the rural parts of Lincolnshire, England. They're going to say a whole lot about England. Very few were from the town of Lincoln. Virtually all of the farmers from Lincolnshire came to the colony as indentured servants in the 1730s and 40s. However, by the 1750s, almost all of the Lincolnshire settlers in what is now Aiken County were living on their own private land, supposedly, almost exclusively engaging in subsistence agriculture on small holding farms. Many immigrants also came from the rural eastern half of the English county of Nottinghamshire. Specifically, many indentured servants came from the towns of Newark-on-Trent, Winthrop, Coddington, Balderton, Kelham, and Farndon. A third group of English farmers settled in the colony, mostly arriving not as individual indentured servants, but as entire family units, coming from the Derbyshire Dales region of the English county of Derbyshire. These settlers primarily originated in the three towns of Ashburn, Bakewell, and Matlock, as well as the farm country surrounding these towns. Okay. That's what they saying. These settlers also settled on lands in between the Savannah River in the west and the towns of Berlin and Jones Crossroad in the east, all arriving in what has since become Aiken County in the 1740s. A numerically smaller but influential migration came to what has since become Aiken County in the form of Presbyterian immigrants of Scottish ancestry who came from County Antrim and the northern portion of County Down in Ireland, as well as small numbers from the town of Kesh in County Fermanagh, Ireland. Okay, and check this out. Then in the 1800s, Prince Rivers and a couple of so-called black guys created Aiken County. It was already Aiken, but they called it a county. Now, we hit you with a little so-called facts. The Scottish people that were taken to Scots and Caribbean slavery, victims and profiteers. Antigua, Barbados, Glasgow, Jamaica, West Indies. All right. When I told y'all about the Protestants and the Catholics. Protestants still Catholics to me. It's all Christianity. But with the war they were having with each other. So all these Irish, Scottish, English, anybody that was considered Jacobites, or they just wasn't down with the Protestant movement, Jacobites, slaves exported to the West Indies. Note that many are from East and Northeast Scotland and England. Most of the Highlanders appear to be Roman Catholics from Inverness. Most of them would be Catholics and Episcopalians. All right. Now, here we go. It's just a quick little thing in a list of African American historic places in South Carolina. Now, all of these are places with a high population of so-called African American people, right? So what churches do they have? There's a few little things on here. First African Baptist Church. Like I say, that Catholic stuff got to do with Roman, African, all that stuff play into the same stuff together. You got Goose Creek. You know who they were. They came out of Barbados. Whole lot of black people. Alleged black people. What we got? Septima Clark was an African American educator. Okay. She's like a black European. Maybe an Indian. Mm-hmm. Here we go. Black Church. Holy Trinity Reformed Episcopal Church. What did they say they were? Let me see. Roman Catholics. Catholics and Episcopalians. I'm pretty sure that's where we get that African stuff coming from. Yep. AME Church, another black church. Mount Zion AME. Old Bethel. St. Mark's Episcopal Church. See, they wouldn't just say Catholic, they had to put Episcopal. Same thing with your HBCUs and stuff, man. It's all this stuff wrapped up together. Which they some of them some cool people, you know. My grandmama went to Bethel AME and stuff. Yeah, Somerville, the Ashley River, Cherokee County. All these got a high population of what you would call African American black people and stuff. Ooh, Dizzy Gillespie. That guy. Oh yeah. No, he got to be European in with that little pointed nose. Yeah. Mount Tabor, United Methodist Church. Oh yeah. Look at that. Collington County, Darlington County. All these are places where black stuff goes on. Training just Tuskegee Airmen. All this was happening in South Carolina. I already said South Carolina was like majority dark skinned people anyway. compared to the so-called white people. You got Dillon County, Dorchester County, Edgefield County, yep, Macedonia Baptist Church, Mount Pleasant Baptist Church. There's probably some Protestant people. Either way, they lumped everybody in together. Florence, South Carolina. What? Man, come on. This is a lot. Georgetown. Now, this is something I'm going to get into, too. The PD River, all of that stuff. That PD River hit deep. Yep. Cedar Grove, Plantation Chapel. Oh, yeah. Allen Temple. They got an Allen Temple in Atlanta. All are connected. Richland Cemetery. All this is black, black, black. Old Pilgrim Baptist Church. Come on, black folks. Hampton Colored School is a historic school for African American students. It was built in 1929. Yep. Oh, they even got Yemassee. Them Indians, they supposed to be black people too. Barnville. I done rode through all these places. That's all 125. Take it straight to Beaufort. Horry County. Look at that. They make it seem like there ain't no real like colored population or whatever you choose to call yourself. But it is. Because the South always had to share colored people. I mean, this is regular Google stuff. I'm gonna jump to something else. Mount Carmel AME Church. Oh, look at that. That's nice. And the campground is a historic African Methodist Episcopalian Zion camp. Woo! Well, that Catholic deep. Clinton AME Zion Church. Yes. It's there. Lawrence County. That's a nice place to go over there in Lawrence County. Yeah, Bethel AME. Well, they got churches set up everywhere. Up St. Paul. Oh yeah, Lexington. That's an old Indian county there. Yeah, West Columbia, Casey. Ooh, my goodness. And the list still going. Marion County, Marlborough County. Goodness. Oh, there you go. PD Presbyterian Church. The Oconee. Yeah, the Oconee in Georgia too. Orangeburg. Wow. Pickens County. Fort Hill Slave and Convict Cemetery. Wow. Liberty Colored High School. What? I ain't even seen half of this stuff. Man, if you just sit and just look at all this stuff, even in your own state too, yeah, it's deep. Yeah, Benedict College. My little cousin went there. That's what's up. That's in Richland. That's my other grandma from. My mama's grandma. That's what's up. Great grandma. Well, she lived there. She from Greenville, South Carolina. But hey, it is what it is. Man, this is a lot. Look at that Goodwill Plantation. Is a historic plantation. Yeah. Oh, Wesley Methodist. Black folk got so many churches. You can put people in there. Spartanburg, Saluda, Sumter. Yeah, St. Paul African Methodist. That's all you gonna see. And you ain't gonna say nothing about Indian or anything regarding Indian. They're gonna give you colored, black, or African. Unless they change it again, then it'd be something else. Williamsburg County. All the black people stuff. McCullum Murray. Built 1906. The house was the home of African American educator Charles Edward Murray. You know, the Murrays come out of Scotland. Scotland and Ireland and England, man. Come on now. They're telling you these people are African American. That's just saying they Catholic. That's all it's saying. To me, I don't know about anybody else. Elias Hill. He was part of the Liberian movement, the migration, trying to ship people out of here, out of America to Africa. That was a lot. Let me see what else. The Aiken Colored Cemetery. Come on, man. It began operating in 1852. It's hard to believe when it was already colored people here. Just saying, that's what they tell folks, though. Nah. Here we go. We're going to go to this lady right here. I supposed to be talking about the towns. I'm going to get to the towns, though. But it's Slavery White, a study of runaway servants in 18th century Virginia. A thesis by Tamia K. Haygood. I just want to read the first little part of it, where she says, where is it? Because she actually says a lot. Between 1607 and 1800, approximately 700,000 Europeans immigrated with an I. That means they got shipped over here to British North America. 2/3 of those who crossed the Atlantic were indentured servant individuals who, for the cost of the passage to the New World, bound themselves to employers for 3 to 7 years, if not longer. Say most of them voluntarily entered into contracts. No, they didn't voluntarily. Others, like convicts and felons, were compelled to render labor. Apprentices entered into indentured contracts in exchange for learning certain skills. All right, supposedly, that's what you're going to tell me. Yeah. It's a part of it when they were talking about promiscuous women's and vagabonds, where that's at. A lot of them got shipped over here. So if you wasn't doing that, you got to go. I mean, that's the same thing as the loitering that they say people do, which they don't even do nothing about the homeless problem no more, really. Because a lot of our homeless people ain't from here. I seen on the news 98% of the homeless people in Augusta are not from there. Because we take care of homeless people. They know where to go. You can go to Salvation Army, or you can go home to where your family stay at. You know? Yeah. Yeah. White Servitude in the Colony of Virginia. Somebody wrote this book. 1875. Oh, James Curtis Ballard. Ballard argued that indentured servants were primarily free persons from England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland who left their homelands with the desire to better their condition, but were too poor to bear the charges of their transportation. Once settled into their new lives, indentured servants contributed to the social and economic development of America and greatly benefited England and other portions of Europe by providing a solution to the problem of what to do with the vagrant, poor, and unemployed. Yeah, believe that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got another book, Colonists in Bondage, White Servitude and Convict Labor in America, 1607 through 1776. That's over 100 years. Okay. I'm saying it wasn't all peaches and cream and roses and everything else. Yeah. 1600s, all of that. All right. Oh, hold on. Colonial slave ships between 1650 and 1775. Many thousands of Scots were banished to the American colonies for political, religious, or criminal offenses. Following the English Civil War, which lasted for like 100 years, Cromwell transported thousands of Scots soldiers to Virginia, New England, and the West Indies. It was Irish too. They always want to throw Scots in there, like they just don't like the Irish. The Irish cool people. I'm part Irish. You know what I'm saying? Goodness, it's a lot of people that's part Irish because the Irish is the Scottish and English, and a lot of the Irish went to France too, which they don't like to include France in the King James part when they say he was the king of Ireland, Scotland, and England. I mean, he was with France too. You know, his kinfolks from there. I mean, they was marrying each other. So either way, An additional 1,700 Scots were expelled as enemies of the state after the Covenanter risings, and 1,600 men, women, and children were banished as a result of the Jacobite rebellions of 1715 to 1745. Around 1715, during events associated with the Jacobite uprising at Preston, 5 years before the birth of the well-known Jacobite Bonnie Prince Charlie, we see recorded the individual names of many common people in prison, costing the authorities 2 pence per diem to feed, on ships costing £2 per person to transport into exile, and in land records, people recorded as real property and sold for cash. Okay. Finding all 10 ships listed together in one document has been an elusive task until he was fortunate enough to stumble upon a warrant filed away for safekeeping in the wrong box in the British archives. We can assume that it is accurate, as it is a bill requesting payment from the king for transporting the prisoners on the 10 ships. Wow. There's about 1,700 people. But then that's where you get to this. Because they keep talking about these people are white. But come on. Here we go. James Nielsen Black Swarthy. He was a laborer. He was 26 years old. He was 5'5". Come on. There's a lot of people too. A lot of people ain't even have names. John Smith was a goldsmith. He was 21. He's from Aberdeen too. 5'4". Brown, well made. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that's brown and well made. James Lackey was a weaver. He's 16 years old. He got a 12-year-old. Look at these people. Black, Swarthy, Black, Swarthy, Black, Swarthy, Black, Swarthy. I think I pointed out that one pale person, Will Chapman. He was 32. He was a peddler. Huh. That don't sound too good. He's from Aberystwyth. And then you got that last name Murray. Like Murray was literally a county over there in Scotland. So like most people, there's a lot of people with that last name Murray. So yeah. And this guy was James Dunbar. It's a lot of people with the last name Dunbar. Shout out to y'all. You got the Robinson, Stewarts, Masons. Yeah. You got a name Cotton, Shamrock, Bowl, Charney, Proctor, Dykes, McKenzie, McIntosh, Cameron. All right. Yeah, some women in there too. Yeah, they was Swarthy, Effie Cameron. Yeah. Dark brown. Okay, so we know that it wasn't just those so-called white people that we call white today. So untrue. Now, South Carolina, Native Americans, places named for South Carolina Indians. The same places I just said all these so-called black people are at. And these so-called Africans, which are really Catholic Europeans. You got a city called Awendar, Cheraw, Cherokee Falls, Congaree, Ellery, Utah Springs, Modoc. Modoc getting built up a whole lot. And they got a Modoc tribe over there in California, Oregon area. That's in McCormick County. Monetta, that's where they got the drive-in movie. Daughter of the Indian Chief. That's in Saluda County. Pretty nice area too. Poco Toledo over there in Yamasee, Hampton County. I probably rode right by it and see it. A little city town. Yeah, Saluda, Indian name, Santee, Seneca, Tamasee, Takina, Waisaki. Oh, the rivers. Ashpoo River, Chattooga River, Edisto, Coosaw, Coosawhatchie, Salkehatchie River. Oh yeah, that's riding through down 125. You go through SRS and That is a nice place too. If you see the buildings out there, they turn it. It's a college now. It's a little kind of a college town, but like, yeah, it's a whole lot of history down there. Oh yeah, you got the lakes, islands, Lake Kiowa. The Cherokee tribe was there. Oh my bad. You got the Santee tribes. Well, they got the name of the tribes and the river, the PD River. PD is deep because that's in the PD River. Run through what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 or 10 counties. Same with the Salcahatchee River, Allendale County. What they doing? They got a excavation site right there in Allendale County that can't nobody go to. It's private. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff. A whole lot of stuff going on that nobody knows about. Let's see what we got now. Yep, just like I throwed in the Naturalization Act, which excluded Indians, indentured servants, enslaved people, free black people, and Asians. So if indentured servants, and this is in 1790, indentured servants couldn't be considered free white persons. So who were they? They were going to either be what? Colored people or black, as you want to call them. Free black people had a higher status than indentured servants, enslaved people, Native Americans. But as we know now, free black people were the people they called African Americans, who were actually the Catholics that they didn't want around. But those are my words. I mean, research it yourself. I've been looking at it. I've been looking at it for all different kind of ways because I know my grandma Indian, and I'm wondering why she going to this AME church. You know what I'm saying? She done passed away, rest in peace. But like thinking about it now, it's like, was that old AME church? I ain't know what it mean. Now I do, because everybody was going to church then. All right. Let's get back to these towns. All right. So Aiken County, and it's the trip part. Now this is a county in Aiken in South Carolina. It's part of the Augusta-Richmond County, Georgia, South Carolina metropolitan statistical area, which consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on Georgia side and 2 on South Carolina side. In the colonial era, the area that is now Aiken County was part of Edgefield and Orangeburg districts. Yep. Okay, I done read it. So they were immigrant farmers. That were the people that weren't considered, whatever you want to call them, indentured servants or white slaves. Now, this is something I found. The Beaver Creek Indian Tribe. They are headquartered in Sally, South Carolina. And Sally is known for hosting the Chitlin Strut, a town-wide festival every November. Man, RIP my sister-in-law Smooch. Because I knew about the Chitlin Strut, but I ain't know her folks be really in there, though. And I think a lot of her people from over that way, too. She from Edgefield, but like, yeah, when it's time for that, it go down. And that's like, what it is, the Saturday? I think it's the Saturday right after Thanksgiving, like 2 days after Thanksgiving. Man, that joint is so nice. They had the parades and had the rides and stuff, good music. Now, check this out. They are not a federally recognized Native American tribe and are one several recognized nonprofit organizations within South Carolina that are alleged to be descended from the historic PD. The organization is not to be confused with the PD Indian Nation of Beaver Creek. See? 2 different kind of things. See? These people here are federally recognized. You want to be federally recognized, they're going to try to hit you with that paperwork, which they done, most of the courthouses where a lot of our family had their records or, just different stuff in there, those places mysteriously burned up. after the Civil Wars and all the other wars that happened. Ain't no paperwork. You just got to go off of, you got to find it. It's there, but, that's the first thing they go to. Like, oh, no, we had a fire and there's no paperwork here. They hit me with that when I went to check on some stuff about my family up in Wilkes County. It's deep, but they're not federally recognized, though. Unlike the PD Indian Nation of Beaver Creek. They got to be called the Beaver Creek Indian Tribe or the Beaver Creek Indians, and they're state recognized, and they're a non-profit organization. All right. The tribe claims descent from a band of PD who settled between the forks of Edisto River. Boom, beautiful Edisto. Oh, it's so beautiful. Man, South Carolina is nice. In Orangeburg County, South Carolina during the 18th century. All right. So 1998, they set up an organization. It's governed by a chief, vice chief, and tribal council. Okay. All right. While the tribe traditionally inhabited lands near Neces, South Carolina, the organization today is headquartered in Sally. Neces is still in Orangeburg County, right by Sally. All right. So, 1999, they split from the government of the tribe following an administrative disagreement and was later recognized by the South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs as an independent state recognized tribal group in 2007. When they throw minority in there, they mean black people. That mean anybody that ain't pale. Yeah, that's that minority talk for you. And that's happened with a whole lot of tribes, especially them 5 civilized tribes. If you too dark, they don't want to have you back. So they dating from the American Revolutionary War through to the late 20th century. Numerous sources and official governments forms documented the ancestors of the Beaver Creek people as being Indian, right? Nah, this greatly assisted the tribe in achieving state recognition in the early 21st century. This provided proof that their people had a continuity of cultural and ethnic identity after the American Revolutionary War and throughout the coming years. Oh, let me get a little further with that. In the mid-19th century, their people filed a petition. Now, mid-19th century is 1800s, all right, with the state of South Carolina on the behalf of Indian families residing near Edgefield County, South Carolina. The petition was in regards to the poll tax. So that poll tax is around the time of the Civil War, Reconstruction, and all of that. When they was trying to disenfranchise people and make people pay taxes. But you're Indian, you're not supposed to be taxed. But the way the government was set up, they say, hey, if you're not living on tribal lands, then you will be automatically lumped in with the rest of the population and you will be taxed. All right. Because that's the way they got the land from you. Allegedly. Yeah. More specifically, it inquired as to whether persons of Indian descent are considered to be free persons of color. During this era, ancestors of the Beaver Creek were recorded as mulatto. Additionally, several early 20th century birth and death records designate their people's race as Croatan. This term was often used to denote a person of mixed Indian ethnicity. Many of their people were also recorded as Indian on World War I civil enlistments. What? Come on. It was in an article written by Bruton Berry in 1948 entitled The Mestizos of South Carolina. The author refers to the ancestors of the modern Beaver Creek Indian tribe as triracial. Come on, man. And you better not throw African in there. Triracial outcasts that did not fit into the biracial caste system then prevalent in South Carolina. Berry notes that sometimes individuals within Orangeburg County were commonly called racial slurs by local whites, but that he referred to used the term mestizo for academic purposes when referencing similar people throughout the state. You see that? And so they want to textbook you. By the late 1990s, more than 100 future members of the Beaver Creek Indian tribe, then led by J. Barry Chavis, Man, my teacher name was Chavis. Matter of fact, what he was, the auto mechanic teacher. His last name was Chavis. His son played football too. He was in the NFL. But yeah, Chavis was an Indian. I mean, he literally let you know he's an Indian. Very nice guy. Still got the land over there in Beach Island, Silver Bluff area. Mm-hmm. Then, led by J. Barry Chavis, began to meet in Nices to plan to petition the government for proper recognition as the Beaver Creek Band of PD Indians. Members had previously been referred by racial slurs like red bone or brass ankle and were sometimes mistakenly considered Cherokee or Lumbee. Prior to this time, tribal members were often instructed to conceal their heritage by elders who heavily suffered from discrimination during the early 20th century. Four Pines School for Indians was founded near Rocky Swamp sometime during the early 20th century. Beaver Creek Indians and PD Indians attended the school as children up until the 1960s when South Carolina public schools were desegregated. During documented interviews that took place around the start of the 21st century, many elders shared that while growing up, their families always felt the need to be as secretive as possible about being Indians. They went on to state that they were forbidden to speak publicly about being Indians. Hey, this Wikipedia. Wikipedia saying all this. All right, cool. Sally, please check out Sally if you get a chance. They have people coming from all over. And you see that, hey, well, like a scene from Django when Stevie step out the house and he see Django on that horse. I swear, boy, there's some dude. There's a whole lot of Indians out there on them nads out there. Shoot, man, they out there, nice cars, got them big old with them big houses on wheels. Oh, they be out there getting it in. They had the whole block shut down, man. It's nice. Ain't nothing happening. Yeah. Yeah, Sally, chitlin scrap. That the first what Saturday after Thanksgiving. All right. The PD people are American Indians from the southeast. English colonists named the PD River and the PD region of South Carolina for the tribe. Yeah. They were part of the South Appalachian culture that developed in the region as early as 980 CE. How do they know all of this? Like, did they tell them this, or like it was like, hey, you look like you've been here since the 900s. I'm going to give you this number. Come on, man, stop playing. There wasn't no state lines. I mean, like it was territories. And you got the little mound stuff they built. I don't even think the mound. I think they're the tops of houses that was actually sitting up higher than that. But okay. Montgomery, North Carolina. They was all in North Carolina. Look at that big old building in North Carolina. Man, ain't nobody build that. That been there. That wasn't built in the last 200 years or 300. Because them buildings is all over the country. Like everywhere. All right. So they migrated and everything else. And that's what most people don't think about either. Is them Spanish was here before the English and the French. Well, the French was with the Spanish. Yeah, they were both Catholic. They was riding together. Yeah, the Tuscarora War popped off. See what that looked like. Just the little pictures they throw up there. But anywho, now the PD people. And I'm gonna flip through this. Oh, there go the counties. That includes the PD. The counties in the PD region are located either entirely or partially within the river's watershed. And these are all the ones I read off with the high population of so-called black people. Yeah. So, who owned all this land? Oh, that guy. Not him. George W. Murray, supposedly born into slavery. Where was he born at? Sumter, South Carolina. He worked as a teacher. Okay. Now, this guy was born into slavery on a cotton plantation near Rembert. Very nice town, too. I've been through just about everywhere in South Carolina. He had two brothers, Prince and Frank. He did not have formal schooling. Did I just say the Murrays come from Scotland? Yeah, I did. I did say that. All right, Reconstruction. The white Democrats retook control of the state legislature, all of that stuff, right? All right. That year, the legislation also passed a law restricting admission to whites and designating Claflin College for higher education for black students. What is Claflin College? HBCU. Come on, man. It was founded in 1869. It wasn't built. It was just founded. This is when they started separating everybody and trying to push people away. Yeah. And you got the moral land grant and all this stuff. Yeah. He just married a woman named Ella, and they never put the women names on there. They be trying to hide women names and stuff. But let me go a little farther. I'm supposed to be doing the towns and stuff, but I just be liking this stuff right here. Cause this dude right here, Coleman Blease, he was part of the Benjamin Tillman train to disenfranchise. So now what I just read basically is saying that, hey, Indians, Europeans of really all colors, you know what I'm saying? But like when it come down to it, it was some dark skinned people, right? And they had a lot of territory that they was living on. So now, after 1865, that's when everybody started getting disenfranchised and everything. And y'all know about the Great Migration up north and stuff, and what was happening, with the bodily harm that was induced on people, just to say it in better words for this sensitive YouTube. But yes, a lot of so-called black folks owned Georgia, South Carolina. That white stuff did not mean what people think it means. But this dude right here, he was an American politician or whatever he's supposed to be. But he was with Ben Tillman. Ben Tillman, one of the dudes, that was he set up a lot of the stuff. I mean, it's written. It ain't nothing you can do about it. Can't change what's been written about the dude. Pitchfork Tillman. But this dude, he led a political revolution in South Carolina by building a political base of white textile mill workers from the state's upcountry region. He was notorious for playing on the prejudice of poor whites to gain their votes and was an unrepentant white supremacist. Okay. Yeah. He advocated all of that stuff. Just look these people up. What does poor whites mean? Is a socio-cultural classification used to describe economically disadvantaged whites in the English-speaking world, especially white Americans with low income. You know why I say in the English-speaking world? Because we spoke English. Yes. And a lot of them people were not English speakers. No matter what color they wanted to be. You had a lot of Irish, Scottish. You had a lot of people out of Germany. People ain't speak the King's English like that. We speak it better than them. And we got our own Indian words with it too to make it sound even better. Anywho. But this guy, George Murray, well, hold on. George Murray was cool. But in some ways, he was still with the Handshake Club. But the guy showed before him, he a descendant of him, the Clyburn guy. You know what I'm saying? That's why when you see all these people in certain positions and stuff, and you like, hey man, what's up with all this discrimination and stuff that's supposed to be happening? Why you a Democrat? Why we figuring out that Democrats is, you know what I'm saying, ain't the best party for us? Well, it's deep. Cause as they say, when they the slave owner, right? Okay, then. And that's why black people, a lot of black folks is, part of that party. And we basically trying to ride with the people that was with the disenfranchised. They just put white people face on there to make it look like they did it. Mm-mm-mm. And they didn't like Catholic people, allegedly. All right, his views and policies. In 1929, in protest of First Lady Lou Hoover's invitation of Jessie DePriest, the African American wife of Illinois Representative Oscar DePriest, to tea at the White House, Blease proposed a resolution to request the chief executive to respect the White House, demanding for the Hoovers to remember that the house in which they are temporarily residing in is the White House. All right, so he didn't like the fact that there were so-called Negroes in the White House, right? So this dude, Oscar Stanton DePriest, you see a DE in anybody's name, even if it ain't separated, that means they are of French nobility. So let's go to this lady. What's her name? Lou Hoover, Lou Henry Hoover. She likes Negro, right? Check this out. She was born in Waterloo, Iowa. Her mother was Florence Ida. She like a little, she like a little, she got a little dark skin in her family, which I know she did. All right. She was from Iowa, right? She was the oldest, two daughters, all that stuff. Most of her childhood was spent in the California towns of Whittier and Monterey. You know what? Her family was nominally Episcopalian, but Lou sometimes attended Quaker services. Ain't that something? Episcopalian? Yeah, you know what that is. And they tell you talking about that's a Protestant denomination. No, it ain't. Keep believing that if you want to. All that stuff is just Christianity is still considered Catholics. They just all the same religion with different views. But anyway, let me get to this before I go back to the towns. So her White House hostesses. Check this out. All right. She invited Oscar Stanton DePriest, who was elected to Congress. They met for tea with his wife, Jessie DePriest. She's like a white lady, don't she? She ain't no white lady. She's African American. Hey man, this in the 1900s though. I'm telling you. And she even met with this dude, the King of Siam. I was just flipping through stuff and I seen him. It is Oscar Stanton DePriest. Oscar Stanton DePriest. All right. In the 20th century, so in the 1900s, he was the first African American. And then the game was to not let Catholic people take over the government. That's what the Republic was all about. Well, part of it anyway. But they just so happened to throw Indians out of it. He born in Florence, Alabama, to freedmen. All right. Former slaves of mixed race. All right. He had a brother and all that. After the Civil War, thousands of blacks left continued oppression by whites in the South by moving to other states. Okay, such as Kansas and, all those other places. The year after Reconstruction, the priests left Alabama for Salina, Kansas, right? All right. Violence increased in Alabama as whites were restoring white supremacy. The elder DePriest had to save his friend, former U.S. Representative James T. Rapier, from a lynch mob. And a black man was killed on the doorstep. Okay. Now, who is the homeboy? James T. Rapier. Okay, so DePriest was born to freedmen, people that got freed after 1865. His homeboy was born free. Weird, ain't it? You know what I say, man? And he was born in 1837 in Florence, Alabama, right next door to him, probably. Come on, man. And then guess where he go? Born and free in Alabama, he went to school in Canada and earned a law degree in Scotland before being admitted to the bar in Tennessee. Man, the way they put it, like, Black folk wasn't doing nothing but nothing and nothing. Anyway, that's just some stuff I just caught up with, man. It go a long way. Let's get back to towns. I'm just going off the edge. This is a bridge that goes from Augusta to Hamburg. That's a big building right there in the back. There's some houses in the back. And my granddad used to own some land right there before they put an iron bridge up. Because all they did was put iron up there where that's at. And they was living right up in that area. That's where my daddy grew up at. Right along the river. They didn't want them to build nothing. Anywho. Alright, what other towns we got? We did Petersburg. We did the Buckley guy. We got the Montgomery pottery. Oh, the Montemore pottery. So it looks exactly the same as the pottery that's found over here. Pretty sure that's a connection, right? All right, what else we got? The Haygood thesis. So now we know where a lot of these names come from. Oh, we didn't do Georgia side. Georgia Indian villages and towns and stuff. Basically the same thing that goes for South Carolina goes for Georgia. Chattahoochee, all the Creek Indians and stuff. Yeah, Harris County. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It had probably been abandoned prior to Hawkins' time. 1798, 99. Hey, that's the best they can say is it was abandoned. The Chickasaw, former Choctaw town, which stood according to tradition on the east side of Chickasaw River, about 3 miles below the present town of Enterprise, Clark County, Georgia. Yep. Cheesy, Chokanikla, Kofa, Kofaki, Kofitachiki. Oh, yeah. A town and province of the Ute situated on Savannah River, visited by De Soto in 1540. Yeah. There was a tradition among the Indians about 1735 that the town stood on the east bank at Silver Bluff, Barnwell, South Carolina. And this view is taken by Jones. Yeah. Yep. Off the Ogeechee River. The province was governed at the time of De Soto's visit by a woman who was at war with the people of Ocute and Kofaki. She gave the Spaniards a friendly reception and entertained them for several days. This friendship was ill requited by the Spanish leader who carried her away with him a prisoner, but she managed to escape in the mountainous region of northeast Georgia, returning to her village with a Negro slave who had deserted the army. Her dominion extended along the river to about the present Habersham County, Georgia, and westward probably across a third or more of the state. What? A third or more of the state of Georgia? Okay, that's Muskogee Creek Indian Territory. Like, come on. Crayfish Town. This long word right here, I don't know what that word is. Man, come on. They talking about that's a complete list. Whatever. All right. And then here go Georgia's black towns and population. Well, they black population supposedly. Oh, they done ran with it now. Yeah. There you go. Georgia's black population growth since 2016, supposedly. Yeah, you know the majority of people in Atlanta. Then right after Atlanta comes Augusta with 200,000 people. Atlanta got almost 2 million. Then you got Columbus, Savannah, Macon, Albany, Warner Robins, which is technically part of Macon to me. Valdosta, Athens, Hinesville, Brunswick down there around the islands. Hinesville too, right there west by Savannah. I mean, Come on. They say they black, but we gonna see. We gonna see. We gonna see. All right. Now, let me jump in my book one time. I think it's still sharing with it. I don't even know. Am I still on the share list? Yeah, I still am. Which one is it? I ain't even gotta go back to the book. I ain't hit this though. Boom, boom, boom. Cause I got a little bit more. That was a rush. That was pretty fun. I just get on here and be talking. Nah, let me show y'all some of these right here. This side of the book I've been in before. Check my pages. I really be checking stuff out, trying to figure stuff out. All right, this Augusta invented postcard. If you see that building on the front of there, that's Parches Inn. That hotel sits on the hill. Supposedly it's a hotel now. I'm pretty sure it wasn't there back then, right? All right. Nah. Pager location. 29. Oh, bruh. Now, these is downtown areas and stuff. Oh, this is the car. That's Union Savings Bank. That's 1916. That's the bank. Okay. Go to 64. Yes. This is the courthouse that was supposedly built in 1820. And the wings were added in 1892. There's a waterfall in front of this thing, which is amazing. You look at that waterfall, it looks just like a waterfall from a whole nother country. And then you got the tower up there with look like a person on top of it. Come on, man. I got some Carolina stuff too. 165. Yes. Now this is a plaza. Oh, that's what's in the book. But this is a plaza because in the book it says, in the book about Indians and stuff, they were living in plazas. And this is Barrett Plaza and the Patrick Walsh Monument. And he got his hand in his coat, if y'all know what that means. That is Union Station. Oh, goodness. I got to get a close up on that. That is Latin writing, which is actually Phoenician writing. Yeah. Now, this is the plaza. That's Union Station. That's a hotel. We'll go to the next page. That's the Plaza Hotel. And a big, nice water fountain in the middle of it. It's not there anymore. Some of that stuff is still there. Like, well, the bricks ain't there. It's asphalt now. But those are houses people lived in right around there. I might can do it on Google too and find these places. This is the federal courthouse. There go the cars. It's 1920. You got a whole lot of cars. That's part of the train station where people were jumping on trains and going to different cities. And that's the other part of the Union Depot train station, which they converted into the post office. Yeah. Railroads and everything. Cotton bales. Look at that. That's where the train was running at. Got a whole lot of stuff. People out there on boats. This before the levee system. This is May Park. It's the part they be having the Mayfest at, where they used to have little gazebos and trees and everything else. It is nothing out there now. Ain't nothing out there but a bunch of fences and a basketball court. I don't even think the tennis court out there no more. Matter of fact, they converted the tennis court into a basketball court. Ain't that amazing? They ain't want them niggas to have that. I wonder what they did with the gazebos. You probably find them somewhere uptown. Under the bridge. That's what's a bird's eye view of some nice buildings. Yeah, buildings everywhere. There go that iron bridge that goes to South Carolina. And you see the buildings in the back. That is a huge building over there in South Carolina. Huge. Bird's eye view looking north from the tower of the new fire department headquarters building on Broad Street. The North Augusta Bridge and the Hampton Terrace Hotel can be seen in the background. Goodness. Oh, that's the Hampton? Dang, that thing is huge. See? And North Augusta was still considered, well, now it was already Aiken County, but that's still considered Edgefield, Hamburg, and all that area. But that's, yeah, it's amazing. Oh, yeah, that's still downtown. This is in North Augusta, just south of Mountain Town Road. This would be if you go from across the bridge up 13th Street on Georgia Avenue and Carolina Avenue, and you get to riding up that road, you see these buildings is literally still sitting there. And you see the dirt they pushed up around the building. Yeah, they pushed the dirt up around it. Oh, okay, yeah, I can zoom in some more. Look at that. They pushed dirt up all around the building. So that way you won't notice it. Oh, yeah. Man, who got time to build all that? I know where the bricks come from. Yes. Another one in North Augusta. So like, this is beautiful stuff. Like, too beautiful. Now I'm saying towns and stuff. There was too many wars going on for people to be building stuff. And then all of a sudden, when the 1900s come, they just start building stuff. Mm-hmm. And one of the houses, look at this house. These brick fences, well, you can see people with these brick fences around their yards and stuff. But this right here is for like the crawl space under the house to let that air go through. You can see the wood on the walls, that exterior wood, the big chimney. Oh yeah, look at that. Big steps, wrap around porch and everything. Stop playing with people. It's beautiful though. I ain't gonna lie about that. It is beautiful. Yep, there you go. Throw the white people in here. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cranston on Heights, North Augusta, South Carolina. The Palmetto Lodge. That's over there in North Augusta too. Look at that. It's like on a little miniature island over there. Come on. Yeah. Oh, you gotta come in there by boat. Hmm. Okay. Then you got the poultry, Belvedere Poultry Farm. That's a little up the street, right away, like about a good 2 miles from the river. Yeah, I done lived over there in Belvedere. It's peaceful. Look at people here. All right, poultry farm. Got them old chickens. Your houses everywhere out there. Come on, man. Oh, clean. Now we back over here on this side of town. Orphan asylums. Yeah. Let me find that. Now what it is. That points of interest. Hospitals and schools. Now we back on the Georgia side of things. But we got some more spots to hit. We'll get to it another time. I'm just flipping. I want to get to that's Enterprise Mill, King's Cotton Mill. I'm talking, these is big brick buildings. Big brick building. And that's Sibley. That's still standing. All three of those buildings are still standing. And the canal is still there too. The canal locks. That's what was controlling the water, trying to keep it from flooding, but that didn't help. You got the Aqueduct Falls. Man, stop playing with folks. Who got time to build all this? Who got time? And that's the bridge going to Hamburg. Went from a wooden bridge to an iron bridge. Yeah, and the train. It was the flood, North Augusta Bridge flood, 1908. Destroyed part of the bridge. Out some strong waters. There was a ferry that take you across the bridge. Yeah, City Hospital. Lamar Hospital. For Negro patients. Children's Hospital. University. Well, they done changed the name to Piedmont now. Yeah. The University Hospital building. Come on, man. Look at that. What's back there? Somebody's house back there or something? Cars already out there. Let's go. Mount St. Joseph School building? Wow. On Riceboro. Goodness. There go that little dome at the top of it. People be sleeping on that dome. That's them same dome that you see above them Catholic churches. All that Roman architecture and Greek and all that. And you see that same dome over here. We got probably about 1 million of them domes. But yeah, this is the architecture. The Mount St. Joseph School after it was converted into the Linwood Hotel. So they really just got rid of the school and turned it into a hotel. Oh my goodness, man. What about the kids' education? The Haynes Normal and Industrial Institute. That's on Lane and Walker. Boom. I mean, they done got rid of them buildings right there. The school was founded in 1886 by Miss Lucy Craft Laney, one of the state's most famous African Americans. Whew! The African American word get thrown everywhere. Payne College. You know what's left of Payne College? After they done built a new building? This little tower right here. That's all Payne College got left. You go to the front of the school, you'll see that same little column right there. Somebody's house was next door to it. Yeah. It's part of towns though. You got the train riding through. Loud ass train.
better to do but hit the horn on the damn train. Down at 11 o'clock at night, they want to hit the horn on the train. Well, I tell you, there ain't nobody but CSX. We got Woodlawn School. Oh man, it's that work. Yeah, they go to bridge. So-called bridge that got built in 1915. All right, I'm cool now. I done got it off. I'm cool. How do I get off of here? I liked it that. Oh, I ain't even take that much time either. I sure appreciate y'all for watching. Thank you so much. Oh, that's the President Taft living in Augusta. Huh. Ain't that something? Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank y'all for watching. Especially my people that be hollering at me, you know what I'm saying? Hitting me up at the job and stuff. Oh, I still got some more. There you go. New Savannah. I got to go all the way back with this one. Let me go all the way back to Savannah Town. Oh, the Beaver Creek, Hamburg, Horse Creek. Savannah Town. So that was on South Carolina side. After the American Revolution. Then we get to the new Savannah Town when they come back over into Georgia. So it began in 1735 as a Chickasaw village. Oh, matter of fact, it was before the Civil War. I mean, man, I don't think it's Civil. The Revolutionary War. Chickasaw village at the mouth of Butler Creek. All right. Stories as to the circumstances vary, but in any case, some portion of the Horse Creek Chickasaws under Squirrel King moved across the river and founded the town from which they farmed, hunted, and scouted until the Revolutionary War. Okay. All right. After the Revolution, New Savannah became a tobacco inspection. Tobacco leaf grown at local farms was packed into large hogshead barrels and rolled to the town to obtain the official. Hold on. Oh, I ain't even on it. Hey, my bad. Let me get right. Let me share my screen. Shit. Let me get you right real quick so I can show it. Here we go. All right, now. New Savannah Town. I was reading it. But basically, this is the other portion of Horse Creek. The ones who were in South Carolina, they just came over to the Georgia side. And a lot of Chickasaw people, right? You know, but you also got Cherokee people too. They don't throw them in there. I guess they want to make them seem as though, you know, the Creek and Chickasaw and all that. I don't know why they call it Horse Creek, but either way, horses originated in America anyway. Anyway, note that the similarly named and somewhat contemporaneous Savannah Town, South Carolina, was located by Fort Moore several miles upstream. But they're all the same people. New Savannah was located at the mouth of the Butler Creek. Now, aside from a nearby cemetery, nothing remains of the original site, which is located within New Savannah Bluff, Lock and Dam. So literally, it's a flooded town too, but they glossed over that one, which is deep. They literally glossed over it. So they put all these other places as, flooded towns, but it's flooded too. And that's not allegedly. It really is. That's why they say, hey, it's a cemetery over there. If it's a cemetery, that means somebody used to live over there. People ain't just, some people do. Bury people in different places, but that's probably family land over there. Yeah, Chickasaw. Look at that. All these places they was at. That's in Oklahoma, South Carolina, Oklahoma. They threw everything in Oklahoma after that. Old Town, which is in Mississippi. And they got their casinos and everything. Oh yeah, it's deep. Savannah Town rocking. And that's the locking down where they put everything underwater at. Because the locking down, I mean, it literally includes Aiken County too, because it's coming off the Savannah River. Yep. And that's what it looks like. Underwater. It ain't that high no more. It's very low. It's way lower than that. That's what it looked like. Hmm. Oh yeah, to the book I go. Let me break this down real quick. Another thing. So, know about the pottery. Pottery matches Portuguese. Yep. What page is this? 22, 23? Now, this pottery matching that, there is a connection to it. Now, I have to go to page 28 for that. Goodness, this thing here. Well, this thing here terrible. Alright, StreamYard. You better start acting bougie like that now. StreamYard be trying you too. You trying to act like people don't know what the hell going on. Nah, I'm mad now. StreamYard be playing. We doing good for a second, then they just, that's what they do. I got to find it. Because it's one key word in here. Well, it's a sentence. And it is right up in here. Oh, no, it ain't. It's number 19. Man, StreamYard. It's got a lot to do with well, anywho, I have to find it on here. But what it's gonna say is that the Indians were working on a thing called what is it? Girdling, tree girdling, and tree girdling is when you cut off the circulation around the tree and just let it fall naturally, right? So they say 8,000 years, right? American prehistory, 8,000 years of forest management. All right. Sounds good. Yeah, they're going to tell you these people come out of a whatever, Siberia and all that stuff. Believe that if you want. Either way. Now, they're going to say these people were hunter-gatherers and running around and not doing nothing worth for nothing. And all of a sudden, they just got smart and said, hey, let's use these trees to do something good with them. All right. Mississippian culture, because that's what part of the culture I'm in. You see the Maya, the little Maya statue that was in Georgia. So The final period of prehistoric life in the Americas Mississippian occurred between 800 and 1650 AD. Throughout these years, Native Americans continued to hunt and fish, but they came to mostly rely on agriculture for food. During this era, Native Americans cleared land by girdling, cutting away a ring of bark from trees to stop growth, or setting fire to a group of trees, and used stone tools to assist in the planting of crops in the fertilized ash. The widespread adoption of agriculture, prompted in great part by the domestication of corn, resulted in the extensive clearing of forests and also led to the establishment of permanent villages, looking to build sturdy structures for their more sedentary lifestyles. Many Native American tribes began to use products, bark, wood, branches, leaves when constructing houses and other buildings. All right, cool. Nigga, we ain't build no motherfucking TPs. Excuse me, y'all. My kids do be watching this. But hey, man, I ain't never lived in a TP. I ain't never heard nothing about no TP. I don't even know what them is. Because we got brick and stone structures that look pretty ancient to me. Tell you it's sad, man. Like, man, you know it's wild, man, when white people be questioning it, like, hey, these buildings look very old. They look ancient. Yeah. They ain't talking about somebody building a teepee made of tree bark. Man, ain't nobody doing that, man. Chill out with that. Cut that out, man. And like the Bronze Age been around for over a couple thousand years, and like people were making tin and stuff. Man, people been knew how to cover up roofs and all that stuff, man. Get out of here. But I just wanted to read that part there because they was talking about girdling, and when the Europeans came, the people were girdling trees. They were actually cutting them down and you know what I'm saying, setting up plantations. Like, yeah, we're gonna grow some food over here. Like when people burn, you know what I'm saying? Like when people set fire to their land and stuff, you know, to clear it, let the ash, you know, get that ash going and it refertilizes the ground. Like, man, people ain't slow. Human beings wouldn't have been here that long if we didn't know what to do. You know? God gave us an instruction manual on how to live. Stop playing with people. Yeah, man. Goodness. Yeah. Even with this, the nation's oldest city, indentured servants fled South Carolina for here. It's another part of it. St. Augustine. It did not take long for some of the residents of the new South Carolina colony to decide that Spanish St. Augustine looked better than English Charleston. Within less than 2 years after Carolina's founding in 1670, white indentured workers were escaping south to Florida. Indentured servants who probably could not read signed contracts or indentured to work for a period of time, often 7 years. The holder of the contract pretty much owed the indentured worker and could move him or her as it suited. In January 1772, John Radcliffe headed south from Carolina and from his master's service and relinquished his allegiance to our sovereign lord, the King of England. Radcliffe's master, John Foster, accused Radcliffe of trying to persuade two other workers to flee for the Spanish habitations with him and there to conspire with the Spanish in Florida and procure the ruin of this hopeful settlement, meaning Carolina. A few months later, in the summer of 1672, Brian Fitzpatrick, means son of Patrick, imitated John Radcliffe and ran away to Spanish Florida. The South Carolina Council worried that once in Florida, these runaways would provide strategic information to the Spanish, the Catholics. Using the intelligence from the runaways, the Spanish would be able to formulate attack plans based on credible information. So concerned was the council that it sent a search party out to apprehend Fitzpatrick with the instruction to take him uh, unalive or unalive. Or in the words of the council as recorded in its minutes books, to maim, destroy, I don't want to say all that, as they shall find best. Many of the indentured servants who were shipped to Carolina in its first years of settlement were Irish Catholics. Recruited by English adventurers or entrepreneurs, the Spanish and the Irish shared the Roman Catholic religion and an enduring dislike of the English. In Florida, the escaping Irish contract workers hoped to be freed from their labor contracts and to attend Roman Catholic religious services. If this story sounds familiar, it should. It is an earlier version of black slaves escaping from English, Carolina to Spanish, St. Augustine in hope of freedom. No, it is the version of black slaves, man. There you go, right there. You're talking about it's an earlier version. Well, it's just, oh, it's the other indentured servants that was actually slaves. And okay, that's all. 15 years after Radcliffe and Fitzpatrick ran away, the first recorded fugitive slaves from Carolina arrived in Florida as reported by Florida's Governor Diego de Quiroga in 1687. So 15 years before that was what? 16 what? 72. So there you go. Come on, man. So y'all thinking these some African people? Nah, Europeans, man. I ain't gonna say there never was any Africans, but hey, my last name is Irish. I don't partake in the St. Patrick's Day festivals, but I have been. And hey, it's a whole lot of people down there that got that Irish heritage. It's just in your blood. That's why we got a Dublin, Georgia. I mean, literally, Dublin, Georgia. And the population is what, 2/3 so called black people, with Indian heritage and European heritage, which they still trying to call African, man. That's all it is. But yeah, a lot of these towns, McCormick, no, that's Scottish or Irish, whichever one you want to call it. Eubanks, Addisburg, Metasburg, Hyde, Ticknell, Malorisville. Yeah, Fennessy. Well, they playing with people intelligence. That's all. That's the only way you're going, this is what it is. Oh, and one more thing. So, they always give you that story that so-called Indians passed away. They perished from disease, right? So, the Sakona, a large shrub or small tree, is indigenous to South America, right? In the 19th century, it could be found along the west coast from Venezuela in the north to Bolivia in the south. Its bark, also known as Peruvian bark or Jesuit's bark, is renowned for its medicinal properties. Check me out, check me out, check me out. Oh, that ain't the one. It is, but it ain't. Oh, yes, it is. Now, when it comes to malaria, right? They say Indians and stuff were dying from malaria, but they actually was chewing on the bark and everything because it really only was popping up around the coast and stuff, swampy areas and all of that stuff. But this man, it's heartbreaking to read this because how they was doing stuff, especially with military campaigns, they was doing a lot of cold-blooded stuff, a whole lot of cold-blooded stuff, man. The people, and I swear it is crazy. But yeah, people who got malaria, I mean, who got sickle cell, are not affected by malaria compared to those with normal hemoglobin. Yeah. Now they say the majority of people who have sickle cell are African American people, right? And that's what this is anyway. I gotta find my little spot on this thing, man, because I just wanna. finish it off. I don't know why I wasn't even fooling with this one. But when you look up the uh the history of malaria and stuff, it'll give you a good insight. Because basically, it's just gonna tell you that like the people in on the other side of the globe were not like good at fighting malaria. Like they break down the Roman Empire, like Europe, all of that. Nobody was like good at how to deal with it. They didn't even know you're supposed to get rid of like the standing water. Like it was it was a it was a lot to deal with. And people were just falling off. Like even the Pope had done passed away. Like so many people were just falling off. Now, mind you, these are the same people talking about, hey, they were colonizing, but they couldn't like sustain themselves enough to actually fight off malaria. And the people that happened to be in South America were pretty much immune to it, which is crazy. Oh, there you go. Products of the empire. Boom. So it produces alkaloids and all that. The European discovery of it, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah. Chacona, Sincona is believed to derive its name from the Countess of Chacon, wife of a Spanish viceroy of Peru, which she was probably more than likely an American Indian because they wasn't bringing women with them to colonize. So more than likely he married an Indian woman. Mm-hmm. All right. Though there is some confusion over how Sakona bark first entered Europe, what is clear is that the Jesuit missionaries were aware of its potential from a very early stage. According to the online Catholic Encyclopedia, they had learned the healing power of the bark from natives during the years 1620 through 30. And according to them, it was being used in Jesuit colleges in Genoa, Lyon, Louvain, and Ratisbonne from 1650, right? Until the appearance of Sakona in Europe during the mid 17th century, medical practitioners treated victims of fevers and malaria in particular using primitive methods such as limb amputation, purging, bloodletting, the administration of herbs, rest, massage, hydrotherapy, and a controlled diet. All right, that is just a lot. Yeah, they ain't know what they were doing really. And what is this? Hold on. The Cambridge University Library. So if you go to look up the history of malaria and stuff, you'll more than likely find this. All right. So from the 17th century to the 1940s, Sakona bark and its derived quinine alkaloids were the most effective treatment of malaria. Initially, the bark, which was stirred from the tree, was dried, crushed into small pieces, and turned into various tinctures. All right. In England, Robert Tauber, a man from a prominent Cambridge family, is credited with the elaboration and spread of Sakona bark therapy. He was the physician of Charles II, which was a Catholic, and later that of Louis XIV, a Catholic, and the Queen of Spain under the name of Talbot. All these Catholic folks they treating, despite the promptness of its effect and its infallibility, which made it suspect for such a long time, according to Ignaz Vincent Vallone, writing in the early 18th century. Sakona bark finally triumphed over the multiple reproaches that were heaped upon it by ignorance, prejudice, the arrogance of sects, and the hatred of the parties. The use of this popish powder had elicited considerable religious prejudice because of its association with the Jesuits. As demand grew, however, lack of experience of the bark, uneven consignments, incorrect identification, and the frequent and deliberate pollution of the product by adding the bark of other trees all ensured the argument over its value was kept alive well into the 19th century. So they was really fighting it. Like they ain't even want to mess with it. They ain't know what it would do. And even though it worked, they still ain't want to do it. Kind of like how people acting with that jab, which we still don't trust it though. You know. We're just riding with it though. Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole lot more with it though. They experimented with it and everything. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. In the days of early cultivation, experiments were made in various countries within the British Empire: India, Burma, Ceylon, Malay, Sudan, St. Helena, Jamaica, Trinidad, Mauritius, Australia, and New Zealand. But these were not always pursued to a definite conclusion. Outside the British Empire, the tree was introduced into Java, West and East Africa, St. Helena, West Indies, Fiji, Madagascar, Reunion, Mexico, Central America, Colombia, and Bolivia, with the exception of Java, India, and Ceylon. However, cultivation never added appreciably to the world's supply of the bark. Notice they don't say North America, right? But they say people was dropping dead from it. Okay. That's what they tell you though. But who's doing the harvesting? Look at them people crawling the trees. Come on with it, man. Yep. Dutch made a monopoly off of it because everybody else ain't know nothing about it. They ain't even know how to. Most people were staying inside. And look at this. It's 2003. Nah. Ooh, man. I want to go back into this book, the Haygood thesis. Nah, it wasn't the Haygood. It's one of these books talking about slavery and everything, and they talking about the Europeans was getting the malaria from the Africans, right? Okay, so if people still ain't caught on to this, you see this? Africa is a part of Europe. All of this is connected. Just as they try to tell you that Egypt and all that ain't part of Africa, it is. Europeans and so-called Africans been mixing and mingling together. There ain't no way around that. But this are the countries with the malaria risk, though. South America, where the stuff to treat it come from. Wonder why. Mexico, just about all of Africa, all of the Southeast Asians and all that stuff. But just so happened in the United States and all of that, they don't have it. Why is that? Just food for thought. Because they didn't, what, Europeans didn't get into Africa until the, what, late 1800s or the early 18s, late 1800s and everything. So what's really going on? If y'all supposed to been transporting people, why you gonna keep risking your life to transport them? But they giving you yellow fever and everything else. Cause I know when I went outside the country, but I had to get like 4 shots before I even went anywhere. It was like, hey, they said what, typhoid and yellow, and man, I was like, okay, give me everything you got. As long as I can make it back, and give me all that. Yeah, I need to drink anything to go with this. Yeah, well, give me some concoctions. But yeah, I know what I'm saying though. Hmm. But it's another one on here though. Like when you go to reading it, it'll tell you about all that stuff though, man. Like, yeah, them folk wasn't even really. Them folk weren't suited to really take over no part of the world, man. A lot of Indian folks were still living, and as you can see, well, from the other video, you know about the American Indian slavery. So if they was calling these people so-called Africans and African Americans and stuff, you know it's a mixture of European and Indian. That's just it. Oh, this the other part of South Carolina, Carsville. That's right there where Hamburg's is. Hamburg was already there with Carsville. And they was a part of the Hamburg thing too. So it is what it is. Yep. And they got that obelisk out there. Got to have that. And they always call it the African American community. Hmm. And they want to credit us so-called black folks after the Civil War. They don't ever want to give us our respect for it. Hmm. It is what it is. I'm gonna leave it where it's at though. All right, that right there, a water fountain in the middle of Broad Street. It's either Broad or Green Street. Then you got this one right here. What this thing is? Oh, no, that's the monument. Then you got this school. That's a colored school in the late 1800s. Literally, it says a colored school in Somerville. Somerville's supposed to be like the first town outside of Augusta and stuff till it got incorporated. Then you got the Chickamauga flag, which is the flag of St. Andrews, the Scottish flag. It's everywhere, man. Stuff is deep. And this the newspaper article from 1916 after the fire that destroyed the what 25 businesses and residence block burned. That was all the so-called black people lived at, which was downtown Augusta. I showed them pictures in my other video. They show all the nice houses and stuff that was in the downtown area. Yeah, it's real. But I appreciate y'all for watching, and it is what it is. Thank y'all so much. Please like, subscribe, and share. You know, I did a lot of like talking and stuff, but it takes a little while. After that, though, you get that little nervousness out you. But I sure appreciate it, man. Mm, leave a comment. You know, hopefully, we can get some conversation going, like you know, scream yarn and stuff, and I don't mind talking to people. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one. Yeah, I'll catch y'all on the next one.